Good Sunday morning. It's a quick poetry video dedicated to Robert Burns, who was born on actually January 25th in 1759, and last night was Burns Night. I have been to celebrations of Burns Night, and I can say that they are very Scottish no matter where you celebrate them. I was at one last year in Moscow with the Moscow Caledonian Club, and I have attended Burns Nights there a few times before. I have attended anyway, and that's a whole different story what Moscow Caledonian Club is, that I'm not going to tell right now because it's too much to tell. Very inspiring, but now I just want to do a poem by Robert Burns, just to read it out loud for Burns' sake. And Robert Burns, he is here on horseback. I like this picture. So, and one of his most famous poems is Auld Lang Syne, of course, or a song, and it's a New Year's song. So, but I decided to find something, and also walking through the rye or whatever, on which which has something to do with the book Catcher in the Rye that was written inspired on that poem. Then there is a Oh My Love is Red Like a Red Red Rose that I'm also not gonna read. I want to find something not too many people know, and so I'm just looking at his poems here. So let's say John Anderson, My Joe. What is that? John Anderson, My Joe John. Okay, so here we have it. Small, short poem, just what I need after 2 minutes of talking about nothing. So, yeah, that's a poem apparently written for a friend, I think, a long-time friend who changed a lot. Actually, to me, this is like almost the same sentiments as Auld Lang Syne, only more personal. But I don't know if we know who John Anderson was supposed to be. But let me try to read it. And actually, what fascinates me about Robert Burns' poetry, and I should probably be ashamed of it because I studied literature at the university. I'm a language professional, and I studied English language literature at my university. I'm also actually I was born into a family of two language professors, my grandmother and my mother. So I'm supposed to understand every word, probably, I think, but I don't. And what fascinates me is that I don't understand half of these words. I know what they mean, kind of, but I probably should have done my studies better or something, because I guess I should know them because I'm a professional. But it still pleases my soul that this stuff is a bit mysterious to me. And like I said, I know what it means. So even if these are, and the accent, I might mispronounce something. So that's what he says to his friend John Anderson. John Anderson, my Joe John, when we were first acquaint, your locks were like the raven, your bonny brow was brent. But now your brow is bald, John, your locks are like the snow, but blessings on your frosty paw, John Anderson, my Joe. John Anderson, my Joe John, we climbed the hill together, and mony a canty day, John, we've had with one another. Now we won't totter down, John, and hand in hand we'll go, and sleep together at the foot, John Anderson, my Joe. I would dearly love to know how this sounds in normal Scottish English or something. I'm sorry, I'm probably don't do too much justice to Robert Burns, but it is what it is. And I'm literally so amazing to be fascinated by something that you don't have enough knowledge of. It's like something interesting, very interesting, because for me, I actually think of myself as someone who knows poetry. I write my own poetry. Maybe one day I'll start doing more of these videos and I'll be reciting some of my own poetry. I want to do that. I don't know what's holding me back. I want to do it every day. But the fact that I still have a lot of growing up to do to actually not understand just words, because words in themselves are not so important, but to kind of like be more educated in my soul or something. To basically, this is the reason why I'm doing it, is because I want to somehow connect with poetry differently. I remember the first time I posted a poem of my own to a website. It was a long time ago. I was just starting. I had a job at a college. I was teaching English, and I was 23 years old, and I was at home. I was sick, so I wasn't going to work, and I decided to share a poem of my own. Just I typed it into the window, and I was like, am I really sharing my poem with the whole world? And I have no idea who's going to read it, and it's like freaky. And I pressed save or send or whatever it was, and I just went about my day, and I thought, I can't believe this. I suddenly felt like I was like Alice in Wonderland, who like ate or drank something weird or something like that. And yeah, so I was so, and the poem was about autumn. It was called Watercolors. I should find it and share it or something. And at the time, I thought it was so marvelous about nature. And at the same time, I didn't know why the world should read my poem. And this is what is very interesting, is that poets, the poets we know in life, in this world, the poets we know, the celebrated poets, and just the idea of a poet, being so important, doing so much to our lives, to our hearts, and the importance of poetry, of a poet. And someone like me thinking, like, why does the world need to read this? Why? I could actually make a book of like my own poetry, but I always thought, why does anyone need to read this? And then I read poetry by Burns, by Dante Alighieri, by like this and that, so many Russian and foreign and modern and old and so on, and very contemporary. Why do I read them? Why does anyone need to read them? Why did John Anderson, my Joe John, why does this little poem, written to probably encourage a friend, feels to have so much meaning? This is so fascinating.